Women Work Well is a community that centers working moms and offers resources to help working moms balance work, wellness, and womanhood. We profile everyday women to show you how to live abundantly, love your babies, and level up in your career. Welcome to Women Work Well. Women Work Women Work Well is a
Hi. We were just making sure you were paying attention. Okay? Good morning. Good
Good
morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, my amazing friends. Hello, everyone in the chat. So excited for you to be here today. My name is Desiree Coleman-Fry. I am your host for Women Work Well. Women Work Well is a community, and we are here to help women live abundantly. So please be sure to stay connected, follow, like, and share. But today I have the most amazing person in the building. I have a special guest. We know each other by way of the DMV. We have both made our way to other cities, but please allow me to introduce my friend, Endia. Endia, would you please tell the people who you are, what you do, and tell us about your children?
Yes, thank you, Desiree. Too kind. I appreciate that introduction. My name is Endia Leonard. As you mentioned, I run a consulting firm, the Link Group, where we specialize in strategic organizational development. And it is definitely a labor of love. It's something I am deeply honored to be able to do. I'm also the mom of two incredible humans. I have a 16-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter who I love so much.
Yes. I'm sure that they keep you busy. I'm sure that they, um, make it lots of fun. Okay, I see Maria tuning in from Fort Worth, Texas. Hello, how are you? Good morning, everybody. We like to start with the word of the week, and that's just to get us going, to get us grounded, making sure we're all on the same page. Our word for this week is hope. Okay. Last night, I had the honor and privilege of going to see Sarah Jakes Roberts. If you don't know her, I mean, just Google her, all right? If you know, then you know. However, she came to St. Louis and dropped so many nuggets of wisdom. And I just love feeling refreshed. One of the things that she talked about was how hope really, there's a difference between hope and faith. She
Mhm.
said, faith is, believing something is possible.
Mhm.
Hope is believing something is possible for you. And
That's
so
good.
I thought that that was so deep because, as you think about this motherhood journey, you may see the Instagram life and you see moms out here thriving and you like, well, wait a minute, like I don't make coffee. Like I'm not
I
out
don't.
here in my yoga pants. And so
I do not.
if this is what motherhood is supposed to look like, I'm not winning. And so it really challenged me to rethink the model of what success looks like, right?
Right.
And then it also challenged me um, to think about what is possible for me, y'all. When I see people out here winning, I celebrate, and one of
Absolutely.
the reasons I celebrate is because I'm like, if it's possible for her, it's
That's right.
possible for me. Okay. So, anyway, I just want to leave you with that this week. Hope, centering your mind on what is possible for you. India, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's good. I think what you just said is defining success for you. Comparison is truly the thief of joy. And so I am not hating. I am not upset if anybody is out here winning. Like you said, it shows me what's possible for me. I think it's enough space for everyone to win.
Come on, say that again for the people in the back.
It is
Um,
possible for each of us to win. Absolutely.
yes, and you know, we're not even supposed to be talking about this, but I'm gonna go there because I hear women say sometimes, I can't be friends with females. Females are this, and I just don't subscribe to that philosophy because I have a strong tribe, right? Who has been so uplifting and supporting. And so really it's like maybe you just haven't found the group of women that are for you, right? But you
Absolutely.
can be in community with women and celebrate them and all of the things. One of my friends just got a promotion. Hello, we're going to celebrate her. So let's
Good.
just have that growth mindset where there's enough room for all of us to thrive.
Yeah, I'm a girl's girl. I am for women. I'm always going to be rooting for women. I am not, like you said, I don't subscribe to the cattiness that we can't get along. I believe that we truly can. And some of the deepest, richest relationships I have are with women.
There you have it, folks. So, Andy, we want to get to know you a little bit. So, we're going to do a quick round robin, rapid fire. Okay.
Okay.
So, let's talk about it. I'm borrowing this from SJR. She said it last night, but Saturday mornings, are you in a pair of Crocs or are you in some heels?
Honey,
Talk
it's
about it.
purple, lilac purple to be exact.
So, you about that crack life. Do you have gibbets though? This is a sidebar.
I don't have gibbets. It's
What?
just,
You
yeah.
don't have Crocs? No, I
Okay.
don't. I
I'm
don't even know
sorry.
what those.
My kids have gibbets. I do not.
You have plastic shoes. You don't have Crocs. Get some gibbets. I wish I could. Hold on. Wait 1 second. Okay, first of all, these are my Crocs. All
Oh,
right. Can you
look at you.
see the design? Okay, I ordered these off Amazon. What do we have here? We got some I Love Myself. We got some Black Girl Magic. Okay, she's drinking some tea because she's relaxing. All right, we got this. I don't know why, but it was big and I liked it. And then cake because I
I'll have
like
to
cake.
step my clock game up. I'm not there
Yes,
yet.
yes, Amazon. Okay, Amazon. Alrighty. So for working out, are you going on a nice tranquil walk? Wait a minute. First of all, you're like, are we working out?
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish the options, and then
All
I
right. Are
can.
we going on a nice tranquil walk or are we doing like some type of group exercise?
Definitely not a group exercise. Most often, it's gonna be. I'm gonna give a walk every day. On a great
Mm,
week, I'm going to do some kind of strength training 2 times a
mm,
week. But it's a walk.
mm,
It's giving a walk.
mm. Um, so do you go to the gym? Is this at home? Like, what is it?
I like actually walking outside. For me,
Mm,
because I'm always behind my computer, it's just my way to decompress, to kind of think through some things and get some fresh air because I have been in the house since COVID has started. And I am not mad about it. I love it. I love working from home. But so it's definitely outside. I have a gym membership I do not use.
what? What? You out here wasting money? Come
It's a
on.
family pack. My husband's he's getting our money's worth. Okay. He's doing it for us.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, last one. Are you team coffee or team tea?
I am tea. If I am completely exhausted, it's a matcha tea latte, but just some regular tea and no honey, anything, just some tea.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Can
be
we talk
healthy.
about this matcha? Because, I mean, let me say something. I was trying to get on the bandwagon because, you see on TikTok and you're like, look at my matcha tea. And I'm like, I tried it. It wasn't right.
You know, like I mean, it's
No.
a level of an acquired taste, but I enjoy it.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Well, our topic for this week is parenting on purpose. And you can go so many different directions in that. But let me just ask, what does that mean for you?
For me, parenting is really, truly, I think, one of the highest responsibilities I have in life. And, we really get an opportunity to steward a person's experience as they're developing. And so it's not something I take lightly. It is the hardest job I have ever had in life. And I have 2 children, and even with them being raised in the same home, it is totally different experience for each one. And so it is not something I have mastered, but I am trying actively in every season to be intentional and diligent to show up in a way that would be purposeful, effective, and really molding them to be the people I really believe God has called them to be. And it is hard, but it is such a beautiful journey that I am honored to be on.
So when you talk about trying to be effective, like what does that look like? Like, are you reading books? Are you like, what are the things?
It's so here's, and this may be an unpopular opinion. I find that most of the people who are the loudest voices in the parenting space in terms of teaching you how to parent don't have children above the age of 8. And I'm being honest, I really want to learn from people who have been through the trenches, who have really done the hard work, but even the way what may have worked in their home, there are so many nuances that go into our children's experiences that what works for me may not work for your children. And so some of it is reading, but I think most of it is being intentional to listen and is listen to what they're not saying. Um, it's to lean into the hard stuff, the hard conversation. So a couple of weeks ago, one of my daughters, she started a new school in January, and she had this friend. They didn't go to the same school. First week of school, or second week, the girl's like, "I don't want to be your friend anymore. You made new friends." And so it's like I could ignore that and like, "Oh, girl, you'll find more friends." But it's leaning into those experiences so she does not hardwire a perspective that may not be helpful or healthy as she carries them into older relationships and adult relationships. So it's listening to what she wasn't saying and leaning into those things that may seem tedious or just, quite frankly, childish, but really help them form their opinions on some solid footing and some principles. And it is so there is no one particular way that I do it. And it's, my oldest he's a boy, but he's very passionate. And so our conversations when we are addressing something are just long. And my daughter's like, I can't stand when y'all talk because I'm not going to get any sleep. And there's no yelling and shouting. It's just long conversations. And it's like, you know what? I really just want to go to bed. But it's like getting to the end and like journeying those long conversations so we can make sure that he's in a healthy place. And so some of the tools I develop really are just learning my children and learning them as individuals, not who I want them to be in this moment, but literally just who they are.
Girl, you dropped so many gems, and I'm trying to pick them up. Okay, so one of the things I heard you say is you don't do like parenting experts. That's what I heard you say. But anyway, but I also
exactly something around here. But go ahead.
roundabout. But then I also heard you say like, in many ways, I heard you say show up for your kids, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's like, you know how kids do that thing and they tell the longest story and it'd be
Yeah.
like 7 parts
Yes.
and then it dips and then we get back and I'm like, I'm sorry, wait, but I thought y'all was on a playground. Like, stay with it. One. And then also listen for what's not being said. So it's like that critical listening, right? And not just like, oh, I don't want to be her friend no more, but why? Oh, so she hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you respond when somebody hurts your feelings? What do you say? So I think that's really, really, really deep. And I think it's so sweet. Number one, that your husband is here in this chat. Okay, shouting you out. Okay, I'll just put you up there. All right, because it is a good mama. But I also heard you talk about your son, and when you are in those conversations, stay in it. My husband
Mhm.
and I have a thing where if there's a disagreement, we say, yeah, stay in it. It's easier to check out. It's
Yeah.
easier to be like, okay, we're done, but stay in it. And that may mean a long conversation. That may mean y'all talk and you pick it back up. That may mean y'all talk and then you say, hey, maybe, a counseling session would benefit you, but you see it through to the end. And it's
Absolutely.
that enduring that enduring nature of motherhood that allows you to like stay in it with your
Yeah.
kiddos.
And my husband and I, we use the saying, point the way and clear the path when it comes to our children. And a part of staying in it is so that we can clear the path of maybe some emotional challenges. Because teenagehood is hard. I don't care who you are, how beautiful your life is. If they are navigating so many different emotions, they are navigating so many different perspectives. You know, you go to a school where they are sharing all kinds of perspectives. And he's at a predominantly white school right now. And so he's not always necessarily prioritizing the conversation. And so coming home, you can feel a little bit down and not necessarily know why. And so sometimes it's those conversations, we're staying in it to kind of clear the path so you can see your way forward. And it is not easy. And it keeps me on my knees in prayer, but it also keeps me humble that I am like, we are raising him with him. Like, I don't just get to lay out a set of rules and like, you follow these rules, you'll end up here. It is a partnership with our children. As much as I wish I could just say, hey, just do this. And but really learning to appreciate their individuality and the journey too. It's a part of clearing that path.
I love that. I never really have thought about parenting as a partnership with your kids, but it truly is, right? You are walking with them. You can't make them do anything,
No,
right? I love what you say. You can point the way and clear the path. I was having a conversation with one of my daughters about friendships, and I said, baby girl, I can't choose your friends, but as your mom, let me tell you what I see, right? And I observed this when you hung out with this person, and I observed this when you hung out with this person. Which one is kind of giving you the results that you think are going to be optimal for your life, right? And so just trying to help her think about it. Really in my mama's mind, like, mama bear, I'm like, she ain't your friend, and I want that relationship to end. Got to get to that point, right? So I love what you said there. How do you feel about gentle parenting? And like,
so, it's another unpopular opinion, and I know, and here's the thing: I am not a parenting expert. So what works for my two children may not be ideal for someone else's. What works for my son is not ideal for my daughter. I am not sold, and here's why: because I think I kind of alluded to it. Most of the voices who are speaking of gentle parenting have not raised teenagers. Their kids are literally in elementary school. And I know everybody has a theory. I had my own theory when my kids were small of what I would do as a parent. You kind of can turn when you're a new parent, you kind of have judgment about what other people might be doing in their homes. I do think our children are worthy of respect and we should lead them with kindness, but I don't subscribe to all of the pillars of gentle parenting. I don't, some of it is just, it violates principles that I have that I found effective in raising my children. That doesn't mean I'm like, don't be gentle.
so for people who don't know what gentle parenting is, share your interpretation and then share maybe how you believe
So,
like the effective way to show up.
Sure. So for me, children, of course, when they're younger, throwing tantrums, and it's like, hey, Johnny, it seems like you're really upset. And I would, here's a better way to do that. Well, I kind of lead with the respect first model because you do have a right to feel those big feelings, but you will not throw stuff at me, nor will you raise your voice at me. Because truthfully, as you go into the world, no one's going to tolerate that. And I'm not going to be picking you up from school because you didn't throw a chair at your teacher because you were having a tantrum. And nobody's going to offer you the opportunity to say, hey, I know those are big feelings. So again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm saying for me and my children, that's not the approach I want to take. Hey, one, you cannot raise your voice at me in that way. And I know gentle parenting, they're big, like don't address tone. I am raising Black children. And if my Black son decides to go out here and show some of that same intensity and aggression, he's going to have a whole different level of consequences that white children will not have. And so I don't get the privilege as a Black parent to raise my children in such a permissive framework. And, I just, so again, I'm not knocking if that's something someone wants to use in their home. I'm not knocking that. It just doesn't work for me. And it to me is so counter everything that I'm teaching or have taught my children. It seems to be effective. So I acknowledge their feelings. You're okay to feel what you feel, but you cannot just respond haphazardly with those feelings.
Whew. Okay. I just had the feel. So I'm wearing I don't know if y'all can see this. I'm wearing my Black Lives Matter because we're ending I'm wearing my Black Lives Matter sweatshirt because we are nearing the end of Black History Month. But you touched on something, and that is really that cultural competence. And I have a transracial family, so I have a group of white children, I have a group of Black children. And so we talk about like the differences in how they may be perceived, the automatic filter that people may ascribe to them, not knowing anything about them, and it doesn't make it right, but it is, right? This is what it is. And so being aware of how children are perceived. This is a sidebar because I'm also raising Black girls, and I'm gonna do a whole video on this adultification.
Yeah.
So for folks who don't know what that is, it is the pattern with which people see Black children. They actually see them as being much older than they actually are. There are studies to say that children as young as 5 were thought to be like teenagers. And so because I'm raising Black girls and I want to protect them, there are just different things that I have to consider as a parent in, how they present themselves and just being aware of how the world perceives them without giving them the baggage that the world wants to give them. So it's a whole thing. And it's hard. And I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
No, I think it's hard, and it's something that I have to be ever cognizant of in how you prepare your children to leave your front door. It's not fair, obviously, but I think it's something that you can't ignore and expect them to find success with any old kind of behavior outside your home. And so I think I have seen, especially when you're talking about my children are Black and we're in predominantly white spaces at school, I see the treatment they get versus their classmates. And a lot of it's not overt. And so if Zoe's having a big feelings day, she can't just stand up and start yelling, everybody's frustrating me. She's going to be sent out to class. She's going to be sent home. I think that's, you want them to have, I see Crystal say, you want to make sure you're instilling confidence, and not that they would go outside of the home feeling like they need to suppress who they are. But no, you're going to have to learn how to articulate what you feel in a way that garners respect and allows you to be heard. And so obviously with all of the doing it the right way doesn't mean that they'll be treated fairly. But even within these 4 walls, I do not want you to think that you can just blast me because you feel a certain kind of way. That's just not happening in my house. And so people can have their opinion, but that's just, it's not happening here.
It sounds like what you're saying is what we not gonna do is allow you to disrespect your mom. And that's real talk. I have a lot of folks who say, like, how do you prepare your children for the talk, especially if you're raising Black children? So how do you make them aware of systemic racism and oppression and things that they may encounter in the world while also preserving their childlike spirit? Do you have thoughts on that?
I do. And here's the thing, is like, you can have a talk or your neighborhood will, the kids will. And so who do you want leading the narrative? And for me, I want to be leading that narrative. My daughter, I didn't have to say, hey, Black History Month is the month we should be acknowledged for our history. She went to school and she came out, she was like, they haven't said anything about Black History Month. And
right.
these are things that kids will pick up, they're not, oblivious to actually what's happening. They will perceive and understand the difference in the way that they are treated, acknowledged, and prioritized in spaces. And so I find that sometimes I'm leading the conversation, sometimes they're leading the conversation. And there's no way for me to get ahead of every single thing that they might encounter. The other day, my son came home. He's like, Mom, one of my friends asked, is it okay for me to, oh, he said, my friends asked, is it okay for me to call this other guy a coon? And, so what kind of conversation was I going to prepare him that morning with? There is no way to get ahead of everything, but we're going to have open dialogue that allows them to not inherit any kind of hostility, but to one, patiently educate, and to establish boundaries that people cannot respect the education you provide once you let them know that this is inappropriate.
So you mentioned your son and your children being strong-willed. Like, how do you sort of lead them and preserve all of those great qualities, right? I think my youngest is going to be a CEO because baby girl is resolved. She know what she wants. She know when, where, how she wants it. She got a little journal, okay, which is going to be wonderful in 20 to 30 years. But today, ma'am, I just need you to do what I asked you to do. So how do you help them to grow without breaking their spirit?
I think, when you talk about strong-willed kids, the number one principle is just to bend their will, not break it. And that's hard because as a parent, my kids reflect some of the best parts of me, but also some of the parts that I'm still working through in therapy myself. And I'm strong-willed. That's why I've been able to find a measure of success, because I'm not going back down from a little bit of a hurdle or resistance. That's what I want my children. Those are character qualities I want my children to have. But I also have to understand that they're going to show up in my home before they get to lead their companies. And some of it is a give and take. And it's like, that's where we go into bending and not breaking. There are some things you just have to do because you don't pay the bills here. And you're going to go clean that bathroom. I mean, that's just period. But there are other things where I can do a better job to hear your perspective. So I do try and make I do try and make some room to hear their perspective, but some things are not negotiable. And then there are things that are, I try to allow them some space to assert their own, leadership skills. But most of you're not leading here because this is not your home. You're going to lead in the classroom. You're going to lead on the playground. You're going to lead on your team. So let's just try and put things in perspective.
I love it. And I can only imagine, like, you are low-key reading your kids, but giving them instruction, but it's a read. It's a read a little bit.
I am, my kids know I believe in candor. And so my kids are the same way. We don't dance, so we're not doing no bush. We're not running around a mulberry bush. Let's be very candid about where we are on both sides, with some respect. But I am not, I
Not
don't do a
today.
lot of back and forth.
Oof. Okay, so we are nearing the end. I'm gonna give you the last word, but before we do that, I want to share a little bit about something I created. It's called Embracing Grace. It's an ebook. It's full with affirmations. It's full with reflections. So I invite you all to go grab it. Available on Amazon. So India, with
Mhm.
this purposeful parenting, take us into this next week with some words of inspiration, some words of encouragement, and help us be thriving in parenting. What would you say?
Sure. I think I have a recent example yesterday, my son came home from practice and he said, "Mom, your joy, your smile means all the world to me." And I realized for so many years, as a mom, you can prioritize, making sure that they're good, making sure they have everything they need, and forget about your own dreams, your own aspirations. And I was smiling because I was making so much progress on things that I had put off for years in the name of supporting them. And some of it you could say excuses, but I just felt like they needed to be my priority. And so I'm finding that, like, as a mom, your joy, your success, your achievements, they matter more to your kids than sometimes we acknowledge that they do. And so to prioritize those things, to prioritize your own joy, because those things really are catalysts to your children's joy. And we don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
I love it. So, to all the working moms out there, listen, your children are watching, they are rooting for you as you win and have successes. They are celebrating. So, we're letting go of mom guilt and we are modeling the successes that we want our children to achieve. Thank you all so much for joining us. Tune in next month. We'll be back on March 24th. Y'all be blessed and make it a fantastic week. Thank you, Endia.
Thank you, Desiree.